A very good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to this press conference with Proteas coach Mark Boucher. As usual, please ensure that your monitors are muted, and also please ensure that you put your request to ask a question on the chat panel. Once you've done asking your question, and we're going to have one question per person, please guys, this is strictly, particularly for today. Once you're done asking a question, please ensure that you mute yourself once again, just so that we can preserve the quality of the sound. We'll start with Telford and then Ken.
I think you mean Tinus.
Sorry, I'm using a different device, so I didn't see who came in first.
Sorry, just a bit younger than Telford. Mark, congratulations on the win. You've witnessed quite a few series wins for South Africa. Where would you say this one ranks?
Up there. I mean, it's completely different as a player compared to being a coach. I think as a player, I mean, it was quite a nervous day for the change room, and I was actually telling the guys, as a player, at least you still feel like the buck can stop with you. So as a coach, your hands are pretty tied behind your back. You haven't got the chance to go out there and actually change the state of a game at all. So from a nerves perspective, yeah, it was up there with one of my more sort of nervous days at a test on a test day. But yeah, I mean, the way that the whole test series was played is hard fought, some good cricket. It must be up there with, probably one of the best test series to have been played, certainly in South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, congratulations, Mark. As you've mentioned, you can't go out there and score runs and take wickets for the team, but I guess as coach, one of the things you try and do is instill character and fight in the team. Just how happy are you with the character and the fight that the team has shown, especially in the last two games?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it doesn't surprise me because you've got Dean as well, who's that sort of character, and he led from the front. You got Temba as a vice captain as well, same sort of fighter sort of spirit in him. So you got two leaders like that. The guys are going to certainly follow, and both of them stood up with regards to their own games as well. I think you put it into perspective. We lost three tosses. A lot of people, including some of the media, have written us off after day one of the first day of the test series. So to come back after losing the first day badly, I think we competed in the first test, and then to win the second test and now win the third test. You got to put these things into perspective about where this team is and where the Indian team is as well. They are probably the best team in world cricket test-wise at the moment. They've gone over to England, beat England, Australia. So this is something that our boys certainly won't take for granted. There are a couple of youngsters in there that have really come through nicely, and they'll take a lot of confidence from this win. And not only the win, but also getting themselves into good positions and also winning games where it's like it really was hard test cricket.
Fidos, Sanele, Zahir, Telford, and then we're going to finish with Derek.
Hi, Bouch, well done. Bouch, that first session in the morning, I guess, would have been the most little nervous, but was there a moment there when you thought, okay, we've got this now? Or like, when did you feel like things are getting easier?
I think when you're in the batting change room, the runs always seem a mile away. When you're in the fielding or the bowling change room, you always feel like there's never quite enough. So it's trying to find a bit of a balance. We knew that the conditions are going to be really tough today. It's extremely hot outside. We also knew that the amount that they bowled in the first innings would eventually play its part as well. So getting through that first hour sort of unscathed was very important for us. It just settles the change room. Getting 20, 30, 40 runs in the first hour, it was exactly what we needed. I just like the intensity that the guys batted with. We went out saying that, we've got to look to score. So anything that was sort of loose, we capitalize on. And then, as we saw in the second test match as well, once you start getting to 50, 60 runs required, and you start upping the tempo, but it's very difficult as a bowling unit to slow the game down. So it really went according to plan today. I think the weather played its part as well. So it was a tense day, but as I said, a day that the guys will remember on how to win tough situations, and like they did, not only in this test match, but the last test match as well.
Hi, Coach. You're probably going to keep hearing this throughout the day, but it's well deserved. Well done. Great performance by the team. I just wanted to ask you if you can speak on the performances of Keegan Peterson and Marco Jansen in these test series.
I don't know. It's difficult to say because, I mean, you get two youngsters who have just come into the side. I mean, let's talk about Keegan first, because I think both of them deserve their little spotlights. Keegan probably didn't start off as well in the West Indies as what he had liked. Then he didn't start off too well at SuperSport Park, but he's always shown, signs of the player that we're seeing right now. And he just stuck to his guns. I think he's in a good position to have a guy like Dean next to him who really does back him. And I think, he's a tough nut. And batting a 3 in Test match cricket, you've got to be tough. You've got to know your game. Technically, you've got to be sound as well. So, for him, hopefully he just gets better and better and better. And it's a very tough position to play in South Africa in our conditions, batting a 3. And the way that he's come through the series I'm lost for words, seriously, because in a big series like this against big players, man of the series, fully deserved, and I'm very, very happy for him. Marco, we also, as I said, let's put things in perspective. A lot of people questioned his selection in the first test. We, as coaches, we sit there and we have conversations about certain players. We saw what he had in Pakistan. He was with us in the West Indies. It was just a matter of time before he came through, because we can see the skill set that he's got. And it's also a variation that is hard to find in cricket nowadays. He didn't start off too well. The media jumped on him a bit, which I thought was quite unfair. But, after that first day, we look at him now, and probably everyone's looking and saying, what a find we've got in another addition to our bowling attack. So Marco, 21 years old, he's still got a lot of cricket to learn. We've seen great signs with the bat as well. So we've found a superstar in him as well at a very young age, which, he's only going to get better, and that bodes well for the Protea team.
Mark, congratulations on the series victory. We saw the team just in Dubai fall just short of the semi-final, and you spoke about the progress the team was making. They've won this test series now against the world #1 side. Would you say that cricket in this country has turned the corner, and everybody should come along for the ride, because this team is going places?
I think that's up to you guys to make that call, whether it's turn a corner. I believe that, we turned a corner quite a while ago. Our results have been pretty solid, sort of over the last, say, call it 6 months to a year. We went through a period where, everyone went through a period in COVID times where our directive was really just to get cricket back up and running. So we had the chance to try out a few players. And I think that's starting to come good now, because we're starting to get a depth of cricketers that we can turn to. You lose out on a guy like Anrich Nortje, who was a big loss for us, but then you get Marco coming to the party. So, yes, I think we're in a good space at the moment. Our feet are firmly on the ground. We know that we're not the finished product. As I said, we've got goals ahead of us. So we'll enjoy this win. It's certainly something that we can take a lot of confidence out. This team is on their own mission, really. And if people want to jump on the back of that, that's great, and it will be much appreciated. But, we've been through some tough times of late, and they're driven in a way that is pretty special, and it's a special challenge to be in. So I'm incredibly proud of where they've come from over a short period of time, and the results are starting to come through now, which is fantastic for everyone.
Last 2 questions, Telford, then Derek.
How's it, Mark? And many congratulations. I'm sure you would rather not have lost the first test, but would you say it almost suits the character of this team? You've got Dean, you've got Temba, you've got yourself as a former hard bastard of world cricket. Do you think it suits the character of this team to have to fight from behind?
Well, I think if you got the fighters as leaders, then and they're prepared to show it with the bat or the ball, it's probably going to be the character of the team. So it's not ideal losing the first test match. I think we were probably a little bit undercooked. And that wasn't, through no fault of any of the players. Unfortunately, just COVID took over at that particular time. We had a game planned, but we couldn't play that game. But we knew that we were going to get better as the series got along. It's never nice playing from behind and being put under pressure. There were a lot of ebbs and flows in the second test match and the third test match as well. We're playing pressure moments pretty good. We're not winning all of them, but when we're losing a session, we're not losing it badly, which keeps us in the game. And I think that is a difference in the first test. When we lost that first session, we lost it so badly that we couldn't really get back into the game. Although we did try very hard, we just we probably lost too much in one session. So yeah, our guys are playing good pressure cricket at the moment, and that's what you want to be doing. That can only stand us in good stead going forward.
Bouch, congrats on the win. You were involved in some pretty epic series victories as a player. England and Oz 2008 spring to mind. But given the background ahead of the series or even the past 2 years, where would you rank this in terms of series wins in the annals of SA cricket?
It's got to be up there. Top 5 must be. As you say, where we've come from, on-field, off-field stuff. It's good to get some good results. I think these guys deserve it. They've been through a lot together as a unit, as a squad. So it's just nice to see that you put in the hard work. You have the solid chats that you have to have in the dressing rooms. It's a close-knit group of guys. The World Cup was a massive disappointment, although we played some good cricket throughout. It is just something that was really needed in our dressing room to put the hard work in and get the accolades for it. And I'm just extremely proud of everyone and happy for everyone that if you put the hard work in, there's going to be a merit, and that's what we got today.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. Please stand by for Dean Elgar.
Damn it.
Everyone, we've got Dean Elgar at the top table now. Please note that his press conference is embargoed for tomorrow, which is Saturday, I believe. Tomorrow at 7 a.m., please. Dean Elgar's press conference, once again, embargoed for Saturday at 7 a.m. South African time. You can go ahead, Craig.
Hi, Dean. Congratulations. Well done. It was brilliant. I was just listening to your television interview, and you said you had some hard chats with the guys and some of the senior players. How much can you reveal of those chats? What kind of things were said?
Just purely about, I'm not going to reveal everything because of what happens in this team stays in the team. But purely basically, after losing the first test, we knew we were going to be up against it and needed guys to stand up from a character point of view. We needed guys to make a bit more of a conscious effort and be a lot more aware of the position that they have within the side, purely to bring the best out of their player. And ultimately, bringing the best out of the player will obviously influence the environment. So yeah, I'm glad, very, very relieved and very, very thankful of the guys responding the way they did. This was a proper squad effort. I can by no means pinpoint out guys. Sure, a few individuals did exceptional things as well within the series. But going forward, this has always been a squad effort. Even to the guys that didn't play, they stood up in the right occasions for us. And yeah, it was those chats will obviously stay within closed doors.
Thanks.
Nathan, Fidos, DNS, and Sipho.
Dean, congrats on a marvelous series against a formidable Indian cricket side. Can you just talk us through briefly the highs and lows of the series for you?
Sure. You're putting me on the spot there. I think there have been so many lows, especially with regards to the first game. I mean, losing the first game of a home test series is never ideal. I think it's a South African trait that we always start slow, and we almost have to be 1-0 down to actually wake up and realize that we're up against it and our backs are against the wall. And And guys responded beautifully to that. Highs are obviously personal performances out of guys like Keegan, Marco Janssen, KG, Lungi. At times he brought his part as well. Guys like Temba showed such a lot of great qualities with regards to batting and composure and being calm, and almost gave you that peace of mind knowing that he's at the crease and things are under control and things will be okay. Lows are obviously a few little discipline things on-field discipline things that we need to obviously rectify. Our extras was something that was a massive concern for me. Luckily, that didn't bite us in the backside. Yeah, I think I'm going to take a few days to actually sit down and break everything up and give me a bit of time to reflect, and obviously give me a bit of time to try and become better in those areas.
Yes.
Hi, Dean. Well done. Dean, we could hear some of the things that were being said on the stump mic while you guys were batting, and I assume you could hear them as well. What did you make of that, and just sort of the whole thing around the DRS and the unhappiness? And I mean, was it quite fun sort of seeing them implode like that?
Love it. It was obviously maybe a team that was under a little bit of pressure and things weren't going their way, which they obviously quite used to of late. Bit of test match cricket pressure, I would think. I think that obviously gave us a little bit of a window period, especially yesterday, for us to score a little bit freer and obviously chip away at the deficit that we needed, or the target that we needed. So I think it worked out well in our hands. It played nicely into our hands that for a period of time they actually forgot about the game, and they were challenging a bit more of the emotional side of what test cricket has to offer. Yeah, it's extremely happy that it happened that way. But be as it may, we still had to execute our skills yesterday and today with the bat, knowing that the wicket's playing a little bit into the bowler's favour, and we needed to be extra disciplined out there and execute our basics the best that we could have executed it throughout the series.
Hi, Dean. Congratulations. In the recent past, you guys have been prone to a few batting collapses, but in the last two tests, the way under pressure you guys chased, when a wicket fell, immediately there was another good partnership. Was that what would you put that down to?
I would. Well, are you talking about the collapses or us doing better?
You guys doing better in these last two games, and the chases especially?
I think it's guys taking responsibility. I think that ties into the conversations I had with the team prior to the second game. Guys taking responsibility and valuing their wicket a lot more. I think a lot of few soft dismissals and lapse of concentration and those kind of errors hinder your series. And ultimately, I think that's what got us the loss in the first game. But yeah, I'm very, very happy that the guys responded well. They responded to the respect within the side that's being given to the guys that have to fulfill those roles, especially from a batting point of view. Yeah, it just shows that the characters within our setup are willing to learn still. They don't play with ego, and that's a great thing for me. Being able to speak to them openly and knowing that they're going to take it on board and it's going to be constructive chat. And yeah, I think that's ultimately them just taking a lot more responsibility, them respecting their batting position, and obviously respecting their wicket and valuing their wicket a lot more.
Hi, Dean. Obviously, a big series like this will teach you a lot about yourself as a cricketer, and in your case, it will teach you a lot about yourself as a leader. So what have you learned about yourself as a leader, and what are you looking to do better? In the next series against New Zealand, purely as a leader. Thanks.
I'm not going to think too far with the New Zealand series. Obviously, we've got great references now. What's happened the last few weeks within our setup. A series win is always something great, and we'll do it injustice if we don't reflect on the good times as well. You generally tend to reflect on just the bad times, but you need to reflect on the good things that you've done as well. So yeah, and sorry, I forgot the first part.
Just about what have you learned about yourself as a leader? What do you think you add in your journey so far? I mean, like, this is your third series, as a captain of the side.
Yeah, I think my skin is pretty thick when it comes to on-field matters and matters that value the team in a big way. I'd like to think that I'm pretty complimentary when it comes to dealing with certain and every individual within the squad, which is something that I maybe lacked in my younger years, and now maybe being a lot more experienced, I've gained that kind of people skills that I lacked, and I'd like to think it's something that I'm still going to work on and grow on as a human, and obviously use it to my best ability from a captaincy point of view. Yeah, I'd like to think that the pressure situations is always a tough one, especially when you don't have bat in hand. You can't control anything that's happening out there, and that's something that's I've kind of managed pretty well. That I don't want to show my emotions too much on camera. So I think from that point of view, it's something that I've learned a lot, and I've had to learn it quite quickly. I haven't had a lot of time to actually sit down and bottle everything up and kind of park it for a bit. But yeah, I think from a captaincy point of view, it's definitely helped me from being a little bit more calmer with regards to not panicking too soon.
Hello, Dean. Just on batting in the middle, the first innings, the Indians were quite vocal when they sort of had you guys under the pump, under pressure, chasing their first innings score. They riled up the players with hand claps. Some of the guys joined in from the dugout, from the seats next to the field. How difficult was it not to have the crowd here to drown them out when they were doing that? And are you hopeful that eventually when you guys return from New Zealand, you will have that again, to just sort of hush the opponents?
One thing that I do regret from the series is that we didn't have the crowd. I think the crowd would have experienced two amazing test matches, if not in South African cricket in history, in the Wanderers and now in Newlands. For a young team to come out and chase pretty challenging scores against a very, very well-oiled bowling attack is something that I think the crowds lack. And obviously after the Wanderers heard about it, how much people actually missed that. So hopefully that definitely does come back. The crowd at Newlands would have been electric. The crowd at Wanderers would have been electric. I think we would have had full houses here for our support. And obviously that is almost like our extra player that we have on the field. The crowd is always supportive of the Proteas when you're playing at home. And that's definitely it's another arrow in our armory that we usually use in the past with the crowd just being able to be on your side, especially things are a little bit tense and you can feel the pressure. The crowds are pretty responsive when it comes to that in South Africa. They're pretty brilliant when it comes to that, actually. So yeah, that was a bit of a letdown, not knowing that there's going to be crowds, and hopefully in the future there are, because there's a lot of young guys in our squad that would have experienced, I think, their best crowd support over the last two tests, and I've experienced that. I've been fortunate enough to experience that in the past. And you can draw so much out of the energy of the crowd, and it almost gives you an extra gear to playing against really, really tough opposition. But be that it may, I thought we coped with the pressure brilliantly. I know there was a stage, as mentioned, when they got their dugout to obviously start clapping hands, and they were supporting them quite often, and rightly so. I mean, they're entitled to do that. So yeah, it would have been great having crowds supporting us and watching us.
Thank you so much, Pokazi. Once again, Dean, great performances from yourself and the team as well. Hopefully you stay with me for this question. So I found that over time, over time, sportsmen evolve over generations in terms of how you deal with the criticisms, right? Both senior players and in the public. The sense these days is that, like in other sports, that younger players find it harder to deal with senior players' criticism as well as public criticism. Now, with yourself having mentioned in the TV interview that you are old school as you are with a bit of new school, is this something that you think exists, or you found that it exists within the team? And if it does, how do you guys deal with that? How do you deal with that as a leader? And how do you guys deal with that as a team?
I think firstly you got to have a mutual respect within the squad. You got to have a mutual respect with every individual player, and that's a two-way street. That enables you to have the conversations that we've had in the last few weeks, and the players need to take that on board. They need to understand that I'm not there to manipulate them. I'm not there to try and do their career injustice, because I need them to be operating at a level that is which is respectable at this level of Test cricket. If you want to be the best, you need to operate at a level like we have done over the last few weeks, but you need to be pretty consistent around that. I'd like to think I've got a pretty good relationship with everyone, be it the oldest player to the youngest player. I'd like to think I connect with them in a pretty good way. A special way that guys know that, you know what, Dean's doing this for the right reasons. And I think that comes into the buying process that the players have to obviously give to the message that I speak of, or the message that I try and echo throughout the change room. But I think it boils down to respect. You need to respect each other. You need to, irrespective of your age, irrespective of how long you've been playing this game, we're all playing for one cause, and that cause is to win. We're all playing for another cause, and that's playing for your country. We all want to influence it in our own different respective ways, bearing in mind that the team's way is the only way going forward. It sounds a little bit harsh, but I mean, if you want to be the best, you need to have that skill, which is a unique skill to have. And it's definitely a skill that I know a lot of guys have started developing as this process of our journeys has continued. So yeah, it's a tough one. I'd like to think I'm not offending anyone by the language I use or by the words that I speak. Just purely knowing that I'm there to motivate and influence this group.
I was doing very well done. I'd like to know, when you look at a Wanderers equation of 240 on a difficult pitch and you do it, and then you come here and a couple of days later you're facing a similar scenario, how much does the value of that Wanderers win, what does that mean when you're trying to win a game in similar circumstances again?
I think momentum is the word that jumps out. You need momentum on your side when you play in a tough series. It's difficult to gain momentum when you don't have it. We know playing against quality opposition, they're not going to give you much of a sniff. So when that sniff's there, you need to capitalize on that. You need to make the most of it. You need to obviously work your backside off to try and make sure that momentum doesn't slip. A few times within the series, momentum did slip, and I thought we were pretty well oiled and pretty professional when it comes to sniffing in those kind of small moments that became big moments, and we played those moments out brilliantly. So yeah, I think the momentum is something that we gained from Wanderers. Confidence is another thing that jumps out just thinking about it now. I think confidence, especially from our batters' point of view, we haven't had a lot of that. But I think showing the guys that, you know what, these guys are beatable. They're also human beings. We are human beings playing a bloody tough sport. And you need to get that confidence within your setup. So yeah, I would say momentum and confidence is a big thing gaining out of what we've gained out of the Wanderers victory.
Hi, Dean Amitabh from Crickview, India. Congratulations on the series victory. I wanted to ask about Marco Jansen. Brilliant debut as a youngster, first series. What is your expectations of him going forward with regard to his career roadmap and his load management, etc., etc.?
Yeah, he was always a bit of a doubtful selection with regards to if he's going to play in the final 11. I think with his attributes that he has, his strengths that he has, obviously being tall, and he can bowl 135 and he can bowl a lot quicker than that as well, which is a huge strength for him. I think his bounce and his presence, his intimidation that he brings without saying a word is a massive strength for him. I see him going only one direction, and that's up. And hopefully he understands that. Hopefully he respects what he's achieved throughout this Test series, because I think his career's come along in a massive nature. He was brilliant for us. I must say, first Test series against India, that can be a little bit daunting for a guy. And he tends to operate in a little bit more of a mature manner. I know he's only 21 years old, but I'd like to think the way he conducts himself on the field, the way he speaks and communicates with me, is one of someone that's played quite a few tests, and he's been around for quite a few years, which is also another great attribute to have as a young player. Yeah, he's also a great team man as well. He's always there to have a laugh with the guys, and I don't think he takes himself too seriously, which is also another tick in the right box for him. But yeah, I'd like to think that Plunky's is going to have a bright future for South Africa.
Last two questions. They're going to have to be really quick. Sorry, we've got a few knocks on the door to vacate the stadium.
Hi, Skipper. Congratulations on winning the series. My question for you is that after being 1-0 behind, you have won next 2 matches and eventually the series. Where do you think was the turning point for you people in winning the series?
I think there were a few turning points. I'm going to have to go into the second test. Building up to the second test, there's a turning point we had, not even from a cricketing point of view. We had a conversation in a group. We had a tough chat for maybe an hour, and I think just the learnings out of that helped us to almost get the appreciation factor back within with wearing the badge on your head that I currently have now. Yeah, there's on field there was a lot of turning points. I felt. I think KG spell that he bowled at the Wanderers, where I think he got 3 wickets within not a lot of overs. He turned the intensity up on the Indian players, and you could almost feel and sense that, you know what, this is a period where we can really strike and get that momentum back on our side. Obviously chasing 240 odd at the Wanderers was also a massive confidence booster for us. So I think that was another phase that we could reflect on and use to our advantage. And then obviously this test match, we never went lying down. We always fought, and I think that's a great characteristic for us to have. We never laid down to the Indians. We always played within our game plan, which I think is a good strength of ours to have. We never veered off things. Guys didn't go into their personal bubbles, which can sometimes happen. And that was my job, to make sure that we don't go into those personal bubbles, because I mean, you need 11 guys out there to be on the same page and fighting for the same cause. Yeah, there's a few things. I guess if I sit down and think a little bit deeper about it, I could answer your question a lot more accurately.
Thanks very much, everyone, and thank you, Nick. We'll end it there. Have a great afternoon, and just a reminder again that this press conference is embargoed for tomorrow at 7 a.m. If anybody would like quotes from Dean, they can lift them from the broadcast interview. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Sips. Thanks, Dean. Well done.
Yeah, bye-bye.